Good morning. Good morning. There we go. Let there be sound. All right. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our morning song number 324, Where My Free Spirit Onward Leads. Now, please remain standing as we recite our covenant. Mary Kowalski and Margaret Bowe will come up and light our chalice for us. Enriched by our differences and joined together in our search for meaning, we covenant with ourselves and each other to seek truth in a spirit of love, to strive for justice, and to serve others with a joyful heart. Now I invite you to turn and greet your neighbors. Try that. Welcome, one and all, in person or online, to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Delaware County. My name is Lisa Jacobs, and I'm your worship associate this morning. I'm joined by Reverend Ed Brock, our interim minister, and Chrissy Buschjager, our director of religious education. If you're joining us for the first time today, welcome. We are so excited that you're here. We hope that you will join us in the social hall, which is just across the way, for coffee after the service, presented by our wonderful hospitality team. And if you're interested in learning more about membership at UUCDC, a member of the newcomer team will be available in the service, after the service, in the youth room, which is just on the way to the coffee, which is located at the other end of the lobby from the sanctuary. They'll be happy to talk with you and answer any questions that you may have. If you're joining us on Zoom, please remember you can turn on closed captions if that's helpful to you. If you wish to stay online after the service, you can join us for a virtual coffee hour. Our winter congregational meeting takes place next Sunday at 6 p.m., following our all-church potluck at 5:15. You can join in person or on Zoom, but please remember to register so that the board can get a head count of the number of people that are coming. And finally, Reverend Ed will be holding a town hall meeting at 10:45 between this service and the next. Feel free to bring your coffee and your questions and come and find out what's going on at the church. And now, as Meg Barnhouse writes, we enter into worship, our hearts alive with hope, that here we will truly be seen, that here we will be welcomed into the garden of community, where the simple and the elegant, the fluted and the frilled, the shy and the dramatic complement one another and are treasured. May we know that here each contributes in their own way to the beauty of the whole. Come, let us worship together, all genders, sexualities, politics, clappers and non-clappers, progressive or conservative. May we root ourselves in the values of this faith: compassion and courage, transcendence, justice, and transformation. And now, please join us in our centering song, A Meditation on Breathing. Each week, we ritually drop stones into a bowl of clear water. Each stone represents a joy or care that we carry with us into this sacred space. We grieve together for the conflicts of our world, both large and small. We rejoice at the beauty and warmth of community that surrounds us on this cold winter day. We hold in our hands ancient stones that were once mountains, and who have seen the successes and failures of eons. And we ask them to hold our joys and sorrows of the present. Then we drop these stones into the shared cleansing waters, and the ripples of our stones meet those of our fellows, interlacing and creating the rings of community. I invite you to come forward and drop a stone for your joy or concern. If you're with us on Zoom, you can type your joy or concern into the comments. And now I will drop a stone for those on Zoom and a stone for those joys and sorrows that we carry too closely to be shared. Please remain seated. Please remain seated and join us for Spirit of Life.
It's been a little while. All right, so I have the Wonder Box today. If you haven't been here, there's something in the Wonder Box. I'm going to shake it, and we're going to try to guess what's inside. So here goes. This one's going to be a little hard today. Ready? Ooh, you're laughing. Why are you laughing? For those on Zoom who are like, I can't hear anything, that's because it's not making much of a sound at all. Let me see if I can hear a little sound. Wait, let me try to shake it really, really hard. Hold on. Maybe I'm hearing a little teeny sound. Okay, Emmy. A feather, that's a good guess. Yes. Little pieces of paper, like confetti, that's a good guess. Yes. Really tiny pebbles. Everyone guesses rocks, not rocks. Yes. What is it? Something. I like that. Something. There's definitely something in here. Yeah. Cotton balls. Cotton balls. Cece? Wait. What? Oh, a big stuffed animal, and it's taking up so much space that we can't hear it shake? Oh, I like that idea. It is something that's taking up space, and I'm not really hearing it. And those of you who've said paper are close, so I'm going to open it up now. It also, we can't hear it because it's kind of an idea. It is a thing, but it's also an idea. We're going to talk about the idea. It's a paper bag, and it was taking up a lot of space, which is why we couldn't really hear it shake. So I'm going to talk about beliefs today. And I'm going to do a Time for All Ages that was inspired by Reverend Gary Kowalski. So if you recognize the name Kowalski, you know that Mary Kowalski and Jeff Kowalski are members of our church. And Jeff Kowalski's brother, Reverend Gary Kowalski, is a UU minister, and he inspired this Time for All Ages that I'm going to tell you today, although I've changed it a little bit, so this is not exactly the way he's saying it. And Mary's filming me, which is cool, but I'm doing this differently than Reverend Gary's doing it. It's like, just like, okay, heads up, it's different. I don't want to get in trouble. Sorry, I want to move my mic so I can stop making that horrible noise. Okay. So when we are born, when we're babies, we don't believe anything. Babies don't come out believing anything. Babies aren't born Baptist or Buddhist or anything else. Babies are just born. And then as we grow, we start to collect beliefs. We start to believe things about people and animals. We start to believe things about what is right and what is wrong. We start to believe things about good and evil. We start to believe things about what is healthy and what is not healthy. We start to believe things about big questions like, where do we come from? What happens when we die? We start to believe things about what is our purpose in life. And we put these things in a belief bag. Not a real belief bag, but somewhere inside of us, there's a place where we store all of our beliefs. And we can imagine that we have a belief bag inside of us. And some people care a really lot about what is in our belief bag. For some people, that's really, really, really important. I'm not going to talk about what's in your belief bag today. I'm going to talk about how we carry our belief bag. So there's a couple different ways people can carry their belief bags. I could carry my belief bag like this. I could carry it tight against my chest, all closed up. So I'm not going to let anything new come into my belief bag ever, 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 ever. I'm not going to let any new ideas in. Everything that I believe is held tight, 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 and my mind is closed to anything else. Or I could carry my belief bag like this. Anything I experience in the world is going to go right in there. If I see something on the internet and it looks like a cool thing, sure, I'm just going to throw it in there. If I see a YouTube video, great, I'm going to believe that. Do I want to check that against a verified source? No, I don't need to. I'm going to just throw it right into my belief bag. Just anything can go into my belief bag. Or I could carry my belief bag like this. Maybe I believe in peace and loving kindness. Do you believe in peace and loving kindness? No? Well, I'm going to hit you over the head until you believe in peace and loving kindness like I do. So, I'm going to suggest, oh, I ripped my belief bag. It's probably not good. So I'm going to suggest there's a different way we could carry our belief bags. Mine got a little bit mangled there. We could carry our belief bags. I'm going to carry mine like this. I'm going to carry it out in front of me, open, so that my mind is open to new ideas. I'm going to carry it so that I can see what's going inside, so that when new ideas come along, I can think about them. I can compare them to the other things that are already in my mind. I can think about them, I can vet them against other sources, I can compare them to my existing beliefs and my values. And I'm not going to hold my beliefs up over my head and bang them on someone else's. I'm going to carry them nice and gently. That's how I'm going to carry my belief bag. How about you? Thanks for listening to my story today.
Thank you, Chrissy, for that story. I'd like to thank each of you individually, and I'd like to thank each of you collectively for your generosity. I wish to express my appreciation to you for the money you've given to this church over the years, many of you, many years. For every hour you've spent in trying to do something for this congregation, in the ways that you've given to this place and made it possible to be in ways large and small, seen by others and not seen by others. And because of your acts of generosity collectively, there is this beautiful place called UUCDC. And it could not exist without that generosity. Now, in our service, once again, as we always do, we have an opportunity to give to the institution and to causes beyond ourselves that enrich our lives. And again, I wish to thank you for your gifts.
Just a touch of backstory to this particular song, originally released by Nat King Cole and written by a man named Aiden Abez, who, as you'll see, doesn't capitalize his name. He was an interesting fellow, a mystic, a hippie, and a very prolific music writer and producer in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And his reason for not capitalizing his chosen name was that he thought the only two words that should be capitalized were God and infinity. There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far, over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, one magic day, he passed my way. And while we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
Thank you, Jeff. It is now time for our children to go to their religious education classes. For our new and visiting families, your children, visiting children are welcome to come to religious education classes. Parents are also always welcome to come and stay with them if that feels more comfortable for visiting families. We sing our sending song 3 times through. The first time we sing together. The second time, our teachers go out into the lobby to be there for our students when they come out. The third time, our students go out. Parents, please pick up your children at 10:45 when religious education ends. Thank you.
For our reading today, I would like to read a brief passage from James Luther Adams, who was a Unitarian Universalist theologian and teacher and minister. And it's entitled, "I Call That Church Free." I call that church free which enters into covenant with the ultimate source of existence.
That sustaining and transforming power not made with human hands.
It binds together families and generations, protecting against the idolatry of any human claim to absolute truth or authority.
This covenant is the charter and responsibility and joy of worship in the face of death as well as life.
I call that church free which brings individuals into a caring, trusting fellowship.
That protects and nourishes their integrity and spiritual freedom, that yearns to belong to the Church Universal.
It is open to insight and conscience from every source. It bursts through rigid tradition, giving rise to new and living language, to new and broader fellowship.
It is a pilgrim church, a servant church, on an adventure of the Spirit.
The goal is the prophethood and priesthood of all believers, the one for the liberty of proselytizing, the other for the ministry of healing.
It aims to find unity in diversity under the promptings of the Spirit, that bloweth where it listeth, that maketh all things new.
Trying to find where my place is. I'm looking for my own oasis. So close I can taste this. The fear that love alone erases. So I'm back to the basics. I figure it's time I face this. Time to take my own advice. Love alone is worth the fight. Whoa. Love alone is worth the fight. Whoa. And I never thought it'd come to this, but it seems like I'm finally feeling numb to this. The funny thing about a name is you forget what the reason you were playing the game is. And it's all an illusion, a 21st century institution. So I'm headed down the open road unknown, and we find what we're made of through the open door. Is it fear you're afraid of? What are you waiting for? Love alone is worth the fight. Whoa. Love alone is worth the fight. Whoa. We're only here for a season. I'm looking for the rhyme and reason. Why you're born, why you're leaving. What you fear and what you believe in. Why you're living and breathing. Why you're fighting it and getting it even. Let's go headed down the open road unknown, and we find what we're made of through the open door. Is it fear you're afraid of? What are you waiting for? Love alone is worth the fight. Whoa. Love alone is worth calling you home. Here we are, here we go. Love alone is worth the fight, fight. 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 Whoa. Whoa. Love alone is worth the fight.
Thank you, Jeff. I always know that I'm in a UU church when a song is being sung and at least half the people are reading the lyrics, because it's a very literate group. I believe in the importance of developing beliefs, principles, and priorities. I believe the development of beliefs, principles, and priorities is very important for individuals, for families, for congregations, for society. I believe that we live in a time where there are so many influences impinging upon the individual, demanding and clamoring for their attention and their devotion, that people are lost and don't understand that as a human being, one of their fundamental tasks is to discover for themselves what is true and real and meaningful for them. What are their beliefs? What are their principles? What are their priorities? And that doing so is what it means to be a person, a self in the world. Let me share with you what I mean by belief, principles, and priorities. A belief is a general statement about life that announces what one believes. Chrissy did a beautiful job of talking about the UU model for doing that, being open to everything. An example is, I believe that all life is interdependent. That's a belief. Another belief was spoken by Jeff this morning in the first song. The greatest thing you will ever learn is to love and to be loved in return. That's a belief. And I think both of those statements are beliefs that we can all say, yes, I believe that. But it's very valuable to know what we believe. A principle, which I wanted to focus on today, is a rule governing one's behavior on a daily basis. An example would be, I will treat others as I wish to be treated. And that would be an operational principle, something by which one tried to live by. A priority is a ranking of what is most important to us. An example would be, my family is my highest priority. And a priority is another word of talking about values, what one values. Beliefs, principles, priorities are distinct, but they are related and intertwined. Our beliefs affect our principles, our priorities affect our principles, and so on. No two people have the same answer to the question, what do I believe? What are my principles? What are my priorities? One of the things I learned in my practice over the years in psychotherapy is that individuals inevitably must come up with their own answers to the vital questions of life. And no two people are the same in that way. And one of the geniuses of our religious faith is that we acknowledge the reality that people are different and that their beliefs and principles and priorities will be, although overlapping in many ways, different. But we can all have common ground in understanding the importance of cultivating personal beliefs, principles, and priorities. And we believe with an abiding faith that it is okay if we are diverse in our beliefs, that we will be able to find a way to work together, to be a community in spite of our differences. Now, here's the interesting point. Many people who have found their way to a Unitarian Universalist congregation have come out of an experience that was negative or problematic. I have known people who have left a Catholic or Protestant tradition and have been very hurt by that, or they felt like their life was upset by that. They had felt like they were forced to believe something that they did not. And perhaps they could have been a person who was gay or lesbian and their sexuality was not acknowledged because the religious belief system did not permit that. Or they were simply uncomfortable with the rigidity of the dogma that they experienced in the other churches. So many people who come to this type of congregation do so with, how shall I say this, an allergy towards dogma and beliefs, etc. And so when I mention the word belief, it sends shivers through some people, right? Because it's hard for us to get out of our minds that when I say belief, I'm not talking about a belief imposed on you. I'm talking about a belief that wells from within yourself and that is true and genuine for you. And so I am arguing the case, if you will. My father always wanted me to be a lawyer, so here I go. I'm arguing the case that the thing that was so distorted in our experience by many of us, the thing that we see misused and distorted right now in society at large, is an understanding of belief that is false and wrong, and that we as UUs need to reclaim the power and significance of what we believe in. If we do not have a clear idea of what we believe and why we believe it and what our principles are and why they are our principles, then someone will fill that void. And I must say one other thing, that for many UU churches, this whole issue of trying to figure out what we believe is just is suspended. And what we emphasize is the fellowship, which is wonderful because that's key and essential to human existence and to our happiness. And the fellowship is great and vivifying and very needed, but we tend, I think, as a religious movement to overemphasize just the fact that we can have so many friends by being here, and we de-emphasize or we let go or we ignore the importance and power of cultivating beliefs and principles. So I wanted to talk about the subject of principles specifically, and I wanted to do that by talking about my own principles. to give you an idea of what I mean by a principle and how it functions in my life and how I try to use it in my life and how I try to reinforce its use in my life. So I wanted to share some of them with you. I have a total of 29 principles. I'm not going to share all of those. And I'll tell you why I have 29 in just a moment. But I'm going to share far fewer than that. Don't be worried. These have been cultivated over a period of about 15 years, where I was intensely involved in cultivating them and then backed off a little bit. I try to go over them and revise them every year in December, as I did this year as well. But here are some of my principles by which I try to have my life guided. The first one, be grateful as often as possible and as deeply as possible for as many things as possible. Number 2, act responsibly even when other people act irresponsibly. 3, create win-win solutions. Number 4, always take full responsibility for your words, actions, and reactions. The next one, be kind to everyone, for each person carries a hidden burden. The next one, focus on facts rather than assumptions, imagination, fantasy, or emotionally driven thinking. The next one, be present, empathetic, and responsive to, but not responsible for, others. The next one, focus all your attention and actions only on what is within your control and within your responsibilities. The next one, ask the question, who am I trying to please right now, and why? The next one, when you suffer setbacks or difficulties, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And then ask yourself, how can I apply what I have learned to my future actions? The next one, focus only on your highest priorities in alignment with your principles. The next one, whenever there is turmoil in your relationship network, and that happens a lot in UU churches, by the way, whenever there is turmoil in your relationship network, ask, what is my contribution to this? And then change that in oneself and re-enter the relationship system with this changed mindset. So I'll spare you no more, but that's kind of a sample. So I have 29, and I have 29 because it corresponds with the number, approximately, of the number of days in the month. And so I have written each of those principles on a 3x5 card, and I put a different one in my pocket every morning, and I refer to it throughout the day. And if I remind myself about my principles, I may be able to accomplish following my principles about 30% of the time. Because realistically, if we are able to practice our principles 30 or 35% of the time, we are way ahead of the game. Because the reality is, at any given moment, We are affected by our moods, our emotions, how much sleep we had the night before, what we ate, the anxiety level of people around us, the things happening in society, the things happening with our children or grandchildren or loved ones. And the fact is, a principle, because all of these dynamics, because of the turbulence of human life, principles are like a candle in the wind. But let us be clear. If we do not know by our own powers and self-direction, our own principles, beliefs, and priorities, someone is going to create them for us. We live in a country right now, I will just say as an aside, where tens of millions of people are just adopting ideas that are crazy, that they've read on the internet or whatever. They have no self-direction whatsoever. It is a dangerous situation, but I digress. I would like to see our congregations to be places where people are supported and guided to develop their own belief systems. This is really important. And I ask you, where else in society are we allowed and encouraged or would be supported to do this if not a Unitarian Universalist church? But people need to be supported in that effort. I believe UU congregations need to do more to make that happen. It is for this reason that I am recommending, or I will recommend to the board in our next budget, that our DRE, Chrissy, that her position be expanded to full-time so that she can support adult education as well as children and youth education. You like that? Okay, support it when the budget comes along. I really think this is something that many UU churches could do much more about. I also think that we, the UU churches, are one of the only institutions in society which can actively help people develop their beliefs, principles, and priorities in line with what the individual thinks is true and real and genuine. Well, I end my sermon actually with a question rather than an answer, and that is, how do you think this congregation should respond to the challenge of the idea of helping everyone here develop their own beliefs and principles? Thank you. Our closing hymn is number 6, As Long as I Have Breath. I encourage you to stand as you are willing and able in body or in spirit for our closing hymn. Could we join together in saying the benediction as we extinguish our chalice? And I'll wait until it comes up on the screen. There you go. For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come embracing life, may life return your affection. And for those who come to seek a path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Blessed be. Thank you. Hey, thanks.